who gets to start to introduce themselves, I want you to give me your microphones. Rock, paper, scissors, right now. Rock, paper, scissors for who gets to start. Ready? Well, on 3, you put it in. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3.
Let Burt go first.
It doesn't matter. I was trying to make it. Okay. All right. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Burt. We've got timer over here. They will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, and then she'll be show them the marker. What's that for? 30 seconds. Turn it around. That's done. And the microphone, Les has control of the microphones. They will go off 10 seconds after the red is shown. So you can't continue on. You got to make yourself, when that goes yellow, you got to bring it to an end. So that's how it's going to go. So you can start. Tanya, whenever you say go.
Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Burt Whaley. I'm your 138 current state representative. And just to let you know, just kind of a real quick legislative update, I have been tremendously blessed by the Lord. And I will boast of him, not of me. But we were able to pass a bill. It's HB 2273. That's protection of children and vulnerable persons. I actually have a bill on that, which is HB 2551. Also in HB, that passed and was signed by the governor, so that is law. That is basically a sex trafficking bill, sextortion bill, and grooming bill. So that is awesome, and there's such a great story behind that, but I don't have time to cover all that. Also, SB 977, which is the Foreign Law Act. I had the mirror bill on the House side, and that was HB 2551, and that also included Sharia law, but we made it broader to cover everything involved, including the WHO. And then SJR 87, which is the constitutional sheriff, that has passed both the House and Senate, will be coming to you all for a vote. And that was wonderful to be a part of. I had the mirror bill on the House side. Wonderful stuff. As far as voting record, I scored, which again, totally blessing from the Lord. American Prosperity, I had a 96%. I was 6th in Locke and Smith, 6th in an independent legislative review, 7th in the Missouri Freedom Index, 11th in CPAC. Now there were several of us at that rate. And then 11th on or 12th on Freedom Principle, and there were several of us on that. And then 20th in Club Growth. And that has been a tremendous blessing to have that kind of a conservative score. I was actually blown away by that. Thank you.
Burt, that's Burt Whaley. And just real quick, tell them where your district is so the people that are here don't have to look at their card to find out.
Right, so that covers Christian County, and it would be Chadwick, Sparta, Highlandville, Spokane, and Saddlebrook. And then from the northern border of Stone County all the way down to the lake, and just a little portion of Lampe.
Thank you.
On the south side.
Okay. All right, Tom, you have your time frame. Introduce yourself.
I'm Tom Franiak, and I am candidate for District 138. As Burt said, that's Southern Christian County and most of Stone County just south of the lake. I'm a businessman in the area. I've been running and operating my own business now for over 40 years. We have 2 locations, one of them right here in Ozark, and then the other one in Kimberling City. I wanted to say that as I was getting prepared to come to this forum, we got all kinds of emails and text messages and things. And one of the things that really kind of disturbed me was in the email, they had instructions on how this forum would go, but they told us how we were supposed to act. That we weren't supposed to call names, we weren't supposed to disparage anybody. And later today, I got a text message that said we should put our best Christian foot forward. You know, I don't know about all of you, but I can speak for myself. And the way I operate my business, the way I conduct business with my employees and vendors that we may have to do business with, is I live my Christianity every single day of the week. I put my best foot forward. And I can only speak for me But if we're acting outside that, we might need to get to church and figure out, how we should be acting. Because I don't think I need to be reminded that I need to be Christ-like every day of the week, every moment. And it disturbed me. I'm running again because I think we need somebody who is stronger than what we have currently and will not walk out on a big vote like HJR 73. That's the fix to Amendment 3, and that amendment has to pass for women, children, and the unborn that we could save. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Okay. We're on to, we'll go back to Burt now for the first question. Burt, first question is, do you support limiting annual property tax increases on primary residences, even if local governments must reduce spending growth? And if so, how are you going to do this?
Reduce spending on local property tax?
Annual property tax increases on primary residences.
Yeah, I would actually like to see first step, freeze. And then when we look at the property tax in itself, well, income tax is the most egregious. The next one is property tax, because we're paying a tax on something that we've already purchased over and over again. So I would like to see that reducing progressively down. And then, because our schools are funded that way, we also need to find a resource for them as well. So we have to find that match. But I do believe we should not be paying property tax on all of our items that we've already paid property tax on. And so the goal is to get down to zero, but accommodate those fundings that we need to support our local schools, our local fire districts, our local law enforcement, and other agencies that are supported by that property tax. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you have time, I forgot to say this. If you have time, you can go into something else after you answer the question, if you want to do that. If you still have time left, feel free to use it.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Tom, same question. Do you support limiting annual property tax increases on primary residences, even if local governments must reduce spending growth? And how would you do this?
I am for limiting property taxes. I'm actually for eliminating them altogether. And it's not because I don't want to fund the schools or the fire departments or anything like that. Here in Christian County, we actually saw our ambulance wanting to move to a consumption tax. And ever since the fair tax idea came about, I've been a big fan of it. I think it is the most fair way. I'd like to see all income taxes, Social Security taxes, property taxes, personal property taxes. I'd like to see them all eliminated and have us move to a consumption tax. Now, I don't in any way claim to be a math wizard, but when we look at things like property taxes, we see plenty of people that get kicked off their family farms and grandmas being kicked out of their homes because they can't afford the property taxes. I don't want to live in a country where we pay tax on something, buy it, and then continue to rent our property from the government. I don't even necessarily agree with some of the tactics they're using, where they want to offset the property tax with the income, or the sales tax with the income taxes they're doing right now. If you read the Fair Tax book, they suggest that on day one you shift over, and day two you're on a different format. I do think we need to bring all players together and find out what their budgets are. If it does limit or hinder any growth, I think that's going to be a temporary thing. Again, being in business, we have ups and downs, ebbs and flows all the time. And our income is based solely on the economy thriving. I am also happy to be pushed into the expansion that they're talking about with the current removal of income tax right now. It will create it'll create a scenario in my business where I have to bring in some other programs to figure our sales tax structure on services. But if people could see what we go through every year to file our income taxes, our property taxes, and the things that we have to do, once you get used to consumption tax, I really do think it will be the best and most fair way to go. And the other thing is they're not talking about taxing used items, so it actually takes lower income people right off the tax rolls. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, Burt, back to you. Missouri is morally one of the strongest pro-life states in the country, and yet Amendment 3 was passed. What concrete steps will you take in Jefferson City to reverse this and protect all unborn life, including in vitro fertilization, within limits of current laws, within the limits of the current laws will allow?
So we already have a state statute that establishes personhood, and that is life begins at conception. That's already in our statutes. So I have currently 3 bills. One is an HJR that establishes personhood. That would then go to the voters to be voted upon. If that is voted by the people and passed by the people, we would then codify in our Constitution, life begins at conception. And all the rights that are given to a Missourian are established to that baby from conception on. That's one. Also have another bill that reinforces the language in the statutes that actually identifies, even though our statutes refers to the U.S. Constitution, my proposal is to add language to that to identify the 5th and the 14th Amendment, which is our U.S. Constitution. We established that language in our statutes. That puts our U.S. Constitution supreme over our state constitution when it comes to sanctity of life. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as well as due process. So these bills are running, they're Mike Moon has been pushing these bills as well. So Mike has the Senate side, I have the mirror bills on the House side. Our goal ultimately is to recognize the sanctity of life. The life begins at conception. Our GOP platform identifies that. And that's the direction that we need to go. And that covers the protection of life from conception.
Thank you. And thank you. It was brought to my attention that I messed up. I was supposed to be alternating who answers first, and it was my mistake. I apologize. So, Tom, you are next on this, and then you'll get the next question first.
Okay. I don't think there was any harm done. Question, please.
Yes. Question is, Missouri is morally one of the strongest pro-life states in the country, and yet Amendment 3 passed. What concrete steps will you take in Jefferson City to reverse this and protect all unborn life, including IVF, which is in vitro fertilization, fertilized eggs, within the limits of the current laws will allow?
Plain and simple, I'll vote yes on any bill that reduces the number of abortions in the state. Now, when Roe v. Wade was sent back to the states, Missouri was a perfect state. And unfortunately, people aren't perfect people. And when given the opportunity to vote on something else that was not a complete ban on abortion, we lost that battle. It's one of the reasons why I'm supporting Amendment 3 so heavily, because we have to, at this point, save everybody we can. And if we take just the abortion part of Amendment 3 out, we have to realize that that amendment also said that women who choose to have these procedures done cannot hold their providers accountable should something happen with that procedure. Now, I have children, I have grandchildren, And they live in Texas, and I can't always have my hand on them and give them all the guidance I want because of distance. And we all know that grandchildren don't always listen to grandparents. And for me, should my granddaughter want to go off and do something that I would disagree of, I would not want her to not be able to seek restitution should something happen. It could even be death. Also, I look at parental rights when it comes to Amendment 3. In Amendment 3, as it stands right now, children under the age of 18 can be transgendered against their parents' desires. I don't know about you, but I want to be able to guide my children until they leave the nest. And I don't want the government or a school counselor or some nosy Karen neighbor dictating what my daughter or my son should do. These things, thank you. These things are important in carrying out of Amendment 3. And we have to take every step we can to keep reducing that number of abortions back down to 0. But sadly, I don't think that's going to happen in one election cycle. And it certainly won't happen with a statute because it's in our Constitution. It has to be done again with the vote of the people. So I'm going to stand firm. I drove to Jefferson City to pick up signs so that we can litter Christian County with vote yes on 3 signs. That's how committed I am to seeing that pass and other bills like it pass in the future. Thank you.
Go ahead and stay standing because you get the next one.
Yep, got it.
Do you support expanding Missouri's school choice and scholarship tax credit programs, and if so, how far should that go? Vouchers, educational savings accounts, or something else?
I am for school freedom. Just like I believe that parents should be allowed to educate their children however they would like to educate them. Whether that be at home, whether that be in a private school, a charter school, or the government school. Parents know best. And I'm not saying that government school is bad, but I'm going to say they're not all equal. So if there are children in failing schools and parents think that they need to go and send their kids to a different school, I support it. I support open enrollment. I think the tax dollars for educating our students should go with the student, not the district. And I've gotten heat from this before, and they say, well, what are you going to do when schools start failing? You know, there's a lot of great schools here in Christian County. Nick's is said to be one of the best. I don't think it'll fail. I don't think our Ozark schools will fail because they're doing our students right. You know, if I go down into Reed Spring, into the Stone County, their career center is excellent. The whole school system right there with their high school and their middle school is an excellent system. I think those systems will continue to receive the tax dollars and the monies because they'll have the enrollment of the students. But when we look at things like our St. Louis schools, I don't think they're the same. And if parents want to take their children out of the government school system and move them into another form of private school or homeschooling, I'm absolutely for it. And the tax dollars should follow the student, not the district. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Burt, I'll restate the question. Do you support expanding Missouri's school choice and scholarship tax credit programs, and if so, how far should it go? Vouchers, educational savings accounts, or something else?
So funding school choice, yes, very important. We do need to maintain our public schools. There's always going to be a need for that. But we also have to have school choice. And funding school choice, I'm not in favor of tax credits as much as I am in favor of allocating that money in our budget, in our state budget, for opportunities for grants and other support systems, funding for school choice. My grandkids are currently either educated at home with their mom, and they both have degrees. My middle daughter actually has a degree in elementary. She's doing an awesome job. and my two daughters work together and how they train the kids. I even actually teach their science class. But and then our oldest daughter it's a parochial school. It's in a church, a Baptist church, and so they're getting a great education as well. But it would be wonderful for them to be able to access funding, grant funding for that. The reason I'm not in favor of tax credits because tax credits are not allocated. They're not capped. They're not evaluated to see if they're effective, and it's kind of it's pick winners and losers. That's why I'm more in favor of having a fund in the state budget, which can be used to augment or be gifted through grant process to help pay for that funding. We also take a look at you mentioned one more thing in that question besides tax credits.
It was mentioned vouchers, educational savings accounts, and
Yes.
something else.
Educational savings accounts, I think, are wonderful. They exist now. I think we need to expand those, and those provide grandparents, uncles, aunts, loved ones to put money into an account, and making that account available to various sources. If it's homeschool, if it's private school, if it's a parochial school, whatever the case may be, that funding is excellent. And again, I do want to support public schools, but I think school choice will expand and must expand.
Okay. Are you done? Sure. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now we will go ahead and I'll go ahead and touch on the rules real quick that I didn't do at the beginning because I'm not a professional at doing this. Each candidate gets 2 minutes to introduce themselves. They get 4 predetermined questions, 3 minutes maximum. They will also get a chance to ask their opponent one key question directly. And we are at that point. They were supposed to write them down so that I could have a copy of them to keep them for record. And we'll go ahead and since you started, we'll let Tom start with that. And do you have a question written down for me that you can give me?
I do not.
You do not?
Yeah.
Can somebody, can I ask the secretary to go ahead and write down what the question is? Thank you.
Actually, I don't have a question for Burt.
Okay.
I contemplated this and I thought, well, gee, if I had an opportunity to ask Burt a question, what would that be? And I didn't see where anything that I could ask Burt would move the needle one direction or the other. And I certainly have no desire to give Burt a gotcha. So I've decided to yield my question to anybody else that might want to ask a question later on.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to go ahead and use that time then to take a question from the floor. And just for when we spoke about this in the board meeting, just public disclosure, it wasn't meant to be a gotcha. It was meant to facilitate a question, an intrinsic question between the two people to show their differences. If they don't want to do that, I honor that. If they want to do that, they should be allowed to do that. I've never seen it done, we've never seen it done in a debate before very, very easily. So we thought it would add a different flavor to this one. With that being said, I need one question that goes to Burt in Tom's place. And the first person to put his hand up was Tom. Please make it. You need a mic.
Yippee.
Yeah, go ahead.
And
This is to Burt.
Burt,
And there's no rebuttal after this.
that's fine. In all kinds of business, whether it's a for-profit business, you have members, and it's required that you have a quorum. When can we require a quorum of voters at elections when they want to raise their taxes, levies, fines, and fees?
So are you specifically talking about the April election?
No, I'm talking about every election. If they want to raise their taxes in any election, they have to have a quorum of voters.
Okay. So there is a bill currently that it has been filed that says that you need to have at least 20% of the registered voters that vote for that vote to count. I find that to be a pretty good standard. Now you're talking about a quorum, so you're talking about 50% plus one.
I don't think that's what he meant, because he's
No.
spoken about this before. He's
Okay.
wanting exactly what you're talking
Okay.
about, a minimum standard
Yes.
of voters to show
Right,
up.
and I think that legislation, I think it needs to really get more attention, because I really think that fixes the issue, especially with the April election, when we don't find there's a lot of big turnout. Now, Stone County was kind of unique this last April. We had a 31% turnout. It was a pretty hot topic. It was planning and zoning, wanted to cancel it or not cancel it. But that was unique. But when you look at the April elections, they typically do not show they generally don't show 20%. Sometimes not even 10%. So that 20% threshold, I think, is an awesome bill, and I would love to see that bill get through, because that way you don't have a small population voting for a big race.
I'm curious, did you co-sponsor that bill?
No, I did not.
Okay,
But I will be next year.
Okay, thank you.
Violent action.
Thank you.
If
Okay.
I don't have it.
Thank you for that. And now, you agreed that you're not going to ask a question, so you want to yield the floor to somebody from the floor to ask Tom a question. Is that what I understood?
Move on with your. We didn't ask each other questions, so I can move on.
Well, that was the last for the, until at the last of your section was the 4 questions, and then the question from each other.
Okay,
So if you want to,
so I thought Tom was gonna, okay. So, I suppose, yes, I can.
yes, I think, yeah, just for fair play.
There
So,
we go.
if anybody want to ask Tom a question, Tom Franiak a question, opening it to the floor. They had said they specifically wanted to have questions from the floor. Don't see any questions. One more. Okay, there we go.
What's your opinion on data centers? What's your proposal or opinion about developing data centers in Missouri?
That's a hot topic. Currently, I don't have enough information on data centers to form a total opinion yet. But what I do know about them is I know they use a lot of water and they use a lot of electricity. And one of the things that I would, we really need to preserve our natural resources here in Missouri. I don't know how many people know that we live on the largest aquifer in the United States. And that's why all these data centers want to keep coming here. That's our groundwater, that's what we drink from. If we go to Table Rock Lake or any of the other lakes, Taneycomo, Stockton, those are our fishing and outdoor sporting lakes, and we need to keep them preserved. Now, perhaps after I get enough information on the impact that the data centers would have into our area, I might change my mind, but currently I'm against them coming here.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, 1 minute for closing remarks, and Burt, you open, so Tom will go ahead and do his closing remark.
It's okay. As a lot of you know, I had a lot of physical therapy over the last few weeks. Sit and stand. They tell me I'll live longer if I do it. At least I got one person laughing. I mean, come on. Let's lighten up, people. I don't need this position to stroke my ego. Like I said, I've been in business for 40 years. I enjoy doing that. I have 2 locations, one right here in Ozark, the other one down in Kimberling City. And the one in Kimberling City is really it's kind of my baby, right? It's going to have a showroom, it's going to have offices, functional kitchens, we're going to do events out there. I mean, it's going to be a really cool place in the next couple of years. And that's really where my legacy is. I'm wanting to set up my assistant as my successor in that. So, hey, after 40 years, you help me for a couple of years, you can have it. And Donnie and I will go off into retirement. But I came to do this again because It wasn't 2 months. Is that the red card?
That is the red card.
Oh, I gotta stop. People asked me to do it again, so I did it.
Thank you, Tom. And Burt, 1 minute closing remark.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you for coming out this evening. Thank you very much. It's actually a very pleasant evening. Good job on the rain. So, what I wanted to bring up is that I voted for Sparks because I believe that Sparks was going to change the power structure. Right now, we have a king and a prince system, and Mike Moon actually does a really good job of this. Now, I'm not dogging Patterson. I'm not. In fact, I think Alex Riley is great. Representative Alex Riley is great. But I think what we need to do is really look at why we have a king and prince system, and we need to challenge that. We need to decentralize the House. We need to decentralize the Senate. And it's sad that those that voted for Sparks are all being primaried with the exception of 2. It is sad. And those folks are actually pretty conservative in their voting records. So why can we not decentralize our government? Thank you. Think about that. Sorry.
Thank you, Burt.